Hey there, welcome to my channel, where we explore the world of technology, careers, and finance. I'm your host David, and my goal is to help simplify complex topics, share personal experiences, and inspire you to achieve your goals. So let's dive in. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of mindsets. So before we go into how to actually budget, first I would like to cover is your mindset. When it comes to budgeting and managing your finances, adopting the right mindset is crucial to achieving financial success and making your money work for you. So in this video, I'll share my mindset tips as well as practical tips that would help you get started on the right track. Mindset tip 1. Change your relationship with money. The first step in developing a positive mindset is to change your relationship with money. Instead of seeing money as a source of stress or anxiety, try to view it as a tool that you can use to achieve your goals. And think of it like this: money can actually help you achieve the things that you would like to in life. This shift in perspective can make a huge difference in your financial well-being. I can give an example. So anyone here who's from maybe an African household, for instance, your parents may not have spoken to you about money. I'm going to give an example. Like in my family, money is not really something that's actually ever discussed. And I don't think that's like a kick to my parents. I just think they didn't really have those conversations themselves when they were growing up. So obviously, if you've not had those type of conversations, it might be quite hard for you to have those conversations with your children when you're training them. But I think now the dynamic has shifted. There's the advent of the internet, so we have lots of information at our fingertips. So please, you do your research, learn more about money. So before you think about how you can actually spend money or how you can actually get better financial knowledge, the first step is knowledge. Mindset tip number 2. Focus on abundance. Another important mindset shift is to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. This means that believing that there's always enough money to go around and that you can achieve financial success if you approach it with a positive attitude. By adopting an abundance mindset, you'll be more open to opportunities and less likely to feel restricted by your financial situation. There's an example by a book I've read by Robert Kiyosaki. Some of you here may know the book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And in that book, there are two fathers. There's the rich father and then there's the poor father. And then the little boy came to the dad one day and was like, "Oh, how can I buy something?" And then the poor dad would be like, "Oh, this certain thing that you like to buy, I do not have money for it. I can't afford it." Whereas the rich dad, on the other hand, would be like, "We don't have money for this at this moment, but how can we afford it?" So these are the conversations I would encourage all of us, not just me, but all of us, even you as well, like in your family. Try to have this conversation with your parents, with your siblings. How can we afford? Mindset tip number 3. Embrace change. Finally, when it comes to developing a positive money mindset, it is important to embrace change. This means being open to new ideas and approaches, even if they go against your current habits or beliefs. By embracing change, you'll be more willing to try new budgeting strategies and make adjustments as needed to achieve your personal financial goals. I'm actually going to plug in an episode by Pennies to Pound. So Pennies to Pound is a really insightful podcast by a lady called Kia. So if you guys have not listened to any of her podcasts before, I would highly recommend you guys to. There's this particular episode with someone called Laura Ann Moore, and the title of the episode was The Link Between Money and Mindsets. And in this episode, they actually went into a lot more detail into the right type of mindset that you should have when you're approaching your finances. Practical tip number 1. So guys, this is actually the fun part. So I've spoken about the mental tips that I've provided you guys some mental tips. So now this is now the fun part, the practical tips. So the very first one, set clear and concise goals. I don't know if you heard me. So at the very start, my very first tip is to set clear and concise goals. With a positive mindset in place, the next step is to set clear financial goals. Whether you're paying off debts, whether you're trying to build up an emergency fund, or whether you had this big purchase that you're currently planning, let's say a house, a down payment for a house, for instance, a mortgage payment. Have a specific goal in mind, and this will help you to stay motivated and focus on your finances. The second practical tip is to track your spending. So guys, I'm actually going to drop a little bit some gems here, so please do try your best to catch what I'm about to send your way. Once you have your goals in mind, it's important to be able to track your spending, because if you have goals but if you have no ways to actually check which goals you have actually ticked off and see what journey you're on, it will be quite hard for you to actually achieve those goals. So this means keeping a detailed record of everything you spend your money on, from rents and bills to groceries and entertainment, even to that chicken Nando's that you go out with a friend for. It covers all of that. There are plenty of apps and online tools available that can help you with this, but the simple spreadsheets or pen and paper method will work, but there are lots of digital apps that you can actually use that can help. I will plug some few here. So a good one that I use is Plum. If you don't know what Plum is one of the digital apps. You can find it on the App Store or on the Google Play Store. So what I would also do is I'll provide the link to Plum and 3 other digital apps that I will mention. So Plum, Snoop, and Money Hub. So if you are in the UK, these 3 apps should be available to yourself. If you're in the US or if you're in Nigeria, it might not, but I'll say still do have a look for. I'll provide all 3 apps in the description below. So these apps would actually help you to be able to manage your spending. Or another thing is, like, if you have like the normal standard high street banks, so high street bank apps, Lloyds, NatWest, etc., you can also manage your spending via those apps. But these third-party apps I've mentioned offer a lot more functionality, and if you're curious about what sort of functionality is currently offered, I would actually cover this in my third tip. So my third practical tip is create realistic budgets. I remember when I was in uni, they used to tell us, like, when you're about to create a goal, there's this SMART method, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and target constrained. All of that ties really well with your budget. So if you're about to create a budget, you need to make sure it is specific to you, it is realistic. You're not trying to budget your life away, because you also need to spend a little bit of money from time to time. So create a realistic budget. Using the information you've gathered about your spending habits, create a realistic budget that reflects your income and expenses, as well as regular bills and expenses, as well as any variable expenses like entertainment or dining out. Remember, your budget should be flexible and allow for unexpected expenses. So don't be too rigid on your budget, or don't be too rigid on your planning. A good budgeting system is called the 50-30-20 rule. I'll cover this in more detail in another video, so make sure you check that out. I'll be putting that across in the next few weeks. So basically, what the 50-30-20 method means that 50% of your income should go towards your needs. So needs are, as you can imagine, things that you need to survive: groceries, the rent. For instance, if you don't pay your rent, if you don't have a mortgage, you're going to get kicked out. So those are your needs. 30% of your income, so now we're on 80% and we've gone 50-30. So 30% of your income should go towards your discretionary spending. So the things that you would like to get, the bag that you like to get, the shoes you like to get, that holiday that you like to book. I want to buy this. Once you hear the word want in the sentence, that's referring to a want. That's referring to a discretionary spending. So each month, your want should not be more than 30% of your income for that month. So if it is, that's the problem there. That's what you actually need to tackle. And then the 20%, which is, it seems a little bit, but it's quite important. 20% is for paying off any outstanding debts you may have. Let's say you have any outstanding debts, 20% of that will be responsible for that. Saving up for any or any potential investments, that's where most of the money, your 20%, would also go into. Yeah. Practical tip number 4. So this is the last practical tip I have for you today. But this tip ties in really well with the mental tips I spoke about earlier on. So practical tip number 4 is prioritize saving. One of the most important parts of budgeting is prioritizing saving. Even if you can only afford to put away a small amount each month, make sure you're consistently saving towards your financial goals. So as they always say, Rome wasn't built in a day, the pyramids in Egypt weren't built in a day. You have to start from somewhere. Consider setting up automatic transfers or direct debits to make this process easier. A good app for this is Plum. So over here you can see the user interface of Plum, and Plum has this really nice feature whereby you have certain conditions, and then there's a brain functionality in Plum, and let's say based on certain triggers he then does automatic debits from your account. So let's say if you wanted to save up for a rainy day, build up an emergency fund, but you couldn't be asked to manually do it, there are digital apps in place that can take away the complexity of that entire process. Not just Plum, other apps also do the same thing. For instance, like your digital apps or maybe your high street apps as well. So those are my top mindset and budgeting tips for making your money work for you. By changing your relationship with money, focusing on abundance, embracing change, setting clear goals and tracking your spending, creating a realistic budget and prioritizing saving, you'll be well on your way to achieving financial success. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.